What is up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond. I'm back with my own new review of Love and Marriage Detroit, y'all. This episode was annoying and weird, but it was so forced. Let's just get into it. So we always start the scene off with Christina and Brandon. They're picking up their kids from his mom's house, and his mom has been stepping up more to be a babysitter, to be a village for both Brandon and Christina. And since they are trying to figure out a better path for their relationship, they have been inviting his mom to be a part of it, which sounds nice considering that the mom really wasn't available to do a lot. She barely was available to take Brandon in her home while he was separated from Christina. But in the midst of moving forward in their marriage, Christina gives props to Brandon for staying consistent, meaning she's gone through this roller coaster before where she wanted him to get his shit together. She told him, if you don't, I'm going to leave. With giving him the credit that he has been stepping up, he had to say, you've been stepping up too. You've been consistent as well. It gave me a flashback to how he was the first season when he could not accept accountability, that majority of their problems was from him. And he could not just accept it and figure out how to work at it. He had to say, in this manner, now he's being consistent and working on their marriage. He had to say, you're being better too. You could have just left it alone, but it is what it is. So now we're talking about getting on the same page with Christina and her coming back into music. Yes, she's realizing that the music industry is way different when she was starting out 20 years ago. She's older than she was before. And she believes she got what it takes, but she's asking Brandon, does she have what it takes? And she did that throughout this entire episode, constantly asking Brandon, does he believe in her? It's not about whether or not he believes in you. Do you believe in yourself? Which is why he wants her to do his training boot camp. You can learn a lot in artist development, and it's never too late to go back and start. It's never too late to go back and learn. She wants to learn so she can learn how to get past her being nervous and her vocals. But the ball is in her court. The way that she's hesitant on not trying to do the boot camp and only wants one-on-one time with Brandon, that's not going to always work. You got to put the time in. You got to put the man hours. You got to have the full dedication of being a full-time artist. So while she is feeling the support from Brandon and how he is encouraging her, they're happy, they're on the same page when it comes to their marriage. Now she wants the same encouragement and support when it comes to her music. I think that's where Christine's expectations a bit too much and too high. That's a different lane. Brandon's not going to hold your hand throughout this process. He's going to put you in and you got to fight for it. But that was pretty much the end of that. Moving on, we got Colby and Latoya. Colby is filming content in her kitchen because her manager wants her to film more at home aesthetic. So now she's hoping to partner with Sam's Club and she's promoting the new cookware set. It sounds like an amazing opportunity. But when I tell you that Colby was looking so uncomfortable and stiff in this moment, it's more than Colby not being happy about doing it. I don't think she likes being pregnant while doing this. That's the thing for me. And Latoya, she's already given me, she is uppity. She's trying to believe she's better than everybody because she didn't understand how much hard work it puts into putting content for your brand. Because when she did it for her wine that Kobe was helping her doing, she realized that it was too much for me to do it. I'd rather hire people to do that. And I just don't like that. Lots of people make a lot of money filming for content. So don't making it seem as if it's a little job or it's something that is just beneath you to figure out how to do for yourself to promote your own brand. You can miss me. And it is another scene that Kobe is complaining about being pregnant and that this pregnancy is draining her. Girl, every pregnancy is different. Every pregnancy reacts to a woman's body differently. You're not saying anything new. And as well as being pregnant while having a toddler, lots of women go through that as well. You're not anything special, okay? Now she's feeling nervous that the way that this baby is moving further down to be prepared for birth versus than how her daughter was before. That usually happens. My son was late when he was born. My daughter came a week early. That happens. It's totally normal. Then now Latoya took over the conversation to complain about how she is so busy. She never has time for herself. She is there for her kids with everything they got going on. And then she is feeling like she's not appreciated. And then she's wondering if she was to not go to her job, if she was to put a pause on her work and be full-time available for her children, will they appreciate it? Will they recognize it? Will they like it? Oh my God. Latoya, you are on my you're getting on my nerves with this. Okay. The way you are dragging on thinking that you're not respected or you're not appreciated by your kids is bugging me. Then she's using that her youngest daughter is like her security blanket. Her youngest daughter knows when she's feeling down, when she's feeling sad, and she's there to uplift her. And I'm like, these two women who are in much better positions than other women are getting on my damn nerves. Okay. You two have more means, more resources than a lot of women who do have to be single mothers, who do have to raise children on their own, who do have to be providers, who have to be nurturers, who have to be the disciplinarian. You, I don't know what you're doing, Latoya. You have a job, you have a career. I don't know what your husband does, but I feel like you're trying to be in a competitive state with your husband on who's the fun parent, who's the better parent. You should never be in that type of space of using your kids to put you in a competition with your husband. Like, even if I believe that Anthony does that already, Anthony probably is putting out parameters when it comes to how he's there for the kids more than Latoya is. And he probably is throwing it in her face to get a reaction out of her. And now she's internalizing it and is doing things that are so unnecessary, that are doing things that are very, very extra just to compete and buy her kids' affection. And you have two boys who are approaching their preteen years. They're not going to be up under you all the time. They are going to have their own interests. They're going to want to be by themselves or be with friends. It's not like they don't love you. You said that. They love you. But as far as how kids grow older, they grow apart from being under their parents all the time and go their own way. It is totally normal. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're there, you're giving them everything they want. It's just how the natural order comes and comes to how your kids are growing up. That's just how it is. And I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. And then they're discussing how mothers are the disciplinarians. Mothers are getting the bad parent rap because it flashes with Latoya checking her children about stomping on his clothes in the suitcase and checking her daughter about not taking her dog on a trip. Hey, sometimes you got to be strict with your kids. Sometimes you got to check your kids about not bringing things that they know they're not going to pay attention to. And you know better than to put your clothes in like that. Don't play with me. That's what you do. It is totally normal for parents to threaten their kids at times when they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. It happens, okay? And yes, mothers tend to carry the responsibility of being a disciplinarian because they're the only ones that's going to do it. Sometimes fathers do not implement discipline the way you think they would. And listen, I'm a mom too. I get overstimulated and tired when my kids be up under me and I be wanting to break. Mothers need breaks too. Self care is important for mothers as well. But for Kobe and Latoya, y'all got more means and resources than anybody. Kobe, you said you got an au pair in the works. When is the au pair coming? And I don't think you even need an au pair the way you're trying to present it. I think what you need is to implement a daycare. Daycares are designed to help mothers who need help. And since you want to continue being a content creator, I think you need to implement a daycare. A living nanny to do everything you don't want to do, I don't think it's in the cards for it. I think it's just you just being lazy and flaunting your money around. But that's that on that. And Latoya, you have older children who aren't under you that much, but you want them to be up under you, and then you want to say you do so much. All I'm saying is for you, pick a struggle. Okay. But again, I am just done with seeing these two women who appear to have more means and resources than any single woman of today, who don't get a chance to have a day to themselves, have a night to themselves, have an hour to themselves. Like, they don't get the freedom that y'all claim y'all don't have right here. So again, I'm going to move on. So now we have Christina. She is at the Star Factory training boot camp with Brandon, along with other artists doing their scales. And she has anxiety about performing in front of other people. And she doesn't really want to be that type of artist that performs and dance. She wants to just make songs and put them out there. I can understand that's her lane and that's how she'll feel comfortable. But Brandon believes that in this business, you got to be the whole package. You got to be able to perform. You got to be able to sing while performing, and along with keeping your vocals up, training, media training at that, the whole package. And I can understand that. But after boot camp was over, she is asking for more one-on-one time with Brandon. But Brandon is saying, I can only give you as much one-on-one time as I can, but I think you'll shine more if you're around other people. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to get over your nervousness and your anxiety about performing in front of other people. Because how are you going to be nervous about practicing in front of other people? You think you can handle it being on stage or performing in front of hundreds of people? So you got to see. And as far as asking Brandon, can she do it? She did it multiple times this episode, like I said before. Keeps asking Brandon, do she have what it takes? It's not about whether or not he believes it. Do you believe it? You're the one who wants to get back into music. You're the one who has found your love of music again. It's up to you. He can motivate you more than you won't motivate yourself. I think that's where the dependency comes from Christina. Since she has not felt the support from Brandon in a long time when it came to her music, now that he's showing up, I guess she just wants it to be heard. I guess she just wants it to be shown. But if he's showing it, you can't keep asking. But I think that's where the struggle comes. They're aligning the work that they're doing in their relationship for their marriage in regards to aligning that same effort in their business. I think y'all should mix the two. I think y'all should separate the expectations of you wanting him to support you in your marriage versus how you want him to support you in your singing. And if you want to be all in, he can't give you a pass because you're his wife. You got to show up and grind like everybody else. You can't use the excuse about kids or if you got other things going on. No excuse. You got to be all in. So as far as her putting this on her schedule, she is adding Chelsea as her brand manager. As far as, putting everything else out that she does, which is in fashion and influencing and music, it will all line up. So she is going to be at Anthony's podcast that he invited her early in the season, and invited Chelsea along with her. Brandon doesn't think it's a good idea to bring Chelsea along because he knows how Anthony gets. But then Christina feels like, well, I mean, it's business. He shouldn't have a problem. Brandon knows that Anthony cannot help himself but be a petty ass bitch and cause problems. But moving on from there. So we now get Russell's grand opening for his gym. A lot of blood and sweat and tears have been put in this gym. Kobe is excited for Russell, even though they've had a lot of ups and downs in regards to the gym, how it's affected their relationship. But she is so proud of him, and maybe now since the gym is open, he'll start to be home more. I don't mean to laugh. But Kobe, your husband did just open a brand new business. I don't think that he has enough clientele to keep open and how he can just trust whoever he hired to just handle the gym from now on. He has to be there to get the ground going. He has to be there to make sure he is managing the gym. He's pretty much the head of operations until he can trust someone to help take over at times where he can be home early. I'm sorry. That part for me, okay? So pretty much everybody came to support. Latoya came by herself. Anthony was working. Christina and Brandon came. Bravo and Lakita came. Kimberly and Marcel came. So Christina opens up with giving congratulations to Russell, as well as talking about hosting, I guess, the first cast trip in a way. She has a collaboration with the city of Detroit to host 12 staycations in the year 2024. And the first one that she is hosting is at the Siren Hotel. So she's invited everybody to come, and that sounds like a good fun idea to do. Her being gracious to invite everybody. So Christina told all the ladies that while telling them about the invitation to the staycation at the Siren Hotel, there's a little cute bar inside of it called the Candy Bar, and she thinks that it will be a great place to host a little baby sprinkle for Kobe. I didn't know this was the term. A baby sprinkle is pretty much another little baby shower where you are celebrating the same gender since Kobe's having another girl. And that sounds very nice, very sweet. Latoya was impressed that Christina came up with this because we know that her and Kobe's relationship have been on a reset button. But then Kimberly decides to take this opportunity to bring us back down memory lane about her problems with Christina. She said to hear Christina plan a baby shower for Kobe, it just reminds me about all those years ago where I planned an amazing baby shower for her and she showed up 2 hours late. I'm just having a little bit of PTSD. Kimberly, what the hell was that? What is the purpose of you bringing us this information? This is not about you. This is not about Christina. This is about Kobe. And Christina is doing something nice for Kobe. Why are you making it about you and what you did for Christina all those years ago in your friendship? Girl, what do you want? Do you want to be cool with Christina or not? You had a fun moment a couple of minutes ago. Like, why do you want to keep on going back to a negative place when you and Christina were not friends anymore? Make it make sense for me. I swear, it's like, Kimberly, what is your purpose here? What is your storyline? To make everything about Christina? To make everything be about you not trusting Christina? Like, what is it? I don't get it. But we're going to continue on with that at a later scene. But Brandon is talking to Russell about giving him his congratulations and talking about how busy Russell has been. I mean, you're now a CEO of a business, you're in the armed forces, you went to school. How do you manage it all? He put a lot of emphasis that he had to do all these things for Kobe because he wanted to be worth it. He wanted them to be in a better place. And Brandon is now happy to hear that Russell had to deal with a lot when it came down to opening up this gym because he's leaned on Russell a lot with his problems. Seeing Russell return the favor, it makes him feel closer to him in a friendship. I doubt it though, Brandon. Russell strikes me as the type of person who does not be honest about his struggles or be honest about his problems. Considering the fact that he is all about God right now, he'll probably just sum it up with God told him to go through these challenges. God told him to go through these hurdles so it could be a better outcome. And it's a message from God. Like, that's how I believe he'll spin it. But he did open up with talking about his problems he has had with Kobe in regards to opening up his gym because Kobe's complaining how he's gone every day, he's never home, and he's just, just looking at the difference of how it was before when they were first pregnant with their daughter. And he was there for everything, every single thing that she was afraid of, he was there. But now, since she's pregnant with baby number two, he's thinking that what she's dealing with is not an issue. Like, you've been through this before. Why would this be an issue now? Or why would you be so afraid of everything? She's super emotional now. And I'm just like, whoa, what is it? Again, every pregnancy is different. Every pregnancy is not the same. So he did say, I am busy. I can't be there whenever she calls. So he doesn't understand why it's a big deal because she wants you to be present. Okay, Russell? She doesn't like going through this by herself. She is aware you have a lot going on, but you should never neglect the fact that you have a wife who is pregnant. She feels like she's by herself and she needs you to be there. All you got to do is just try to communicate with her about how you'll try to be there and not let her deal with this all by herself. And Brandon tells him, as men, we think about providing and conquering. But when we hear our wives say that our presence are important, you got to give them that. You got to know that your wife wants quality time and you got to figure out a way to give her that. And she's expecting that from you. And he mentions that his wife's love language is quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation. Yeah, she has to know that you're listening, that you're caring. But I sometimes think that Russell likes to be so busy so he can avoid on what goes on in that house because he doesn't think that that's his job. He doesn't think that he's supposed to know what goes on in the house, what goes on with the kids. Just like how he never thought it made sense for him to be on top of his daughter's potty training because he's so busy with everything else. Thing on his mind in regards to starting the day. But that needs to not be an excuse. You should always be on top of what your kids got going on. Even if you have a busy day, your kids and your wife should come first. But that's how I feel. Moving on from there. We got Bravo. He takes Brandon to check out his new spot, and it's going to be more of a restaurant type lounge. So he's leading towards more restaurant style concepts than his clubs, which I know Lakita is very happy about. And it looks like a nice spot. Very proud of Bravo for using this show to showcase his business acumen, shows how he's all about his business. I mean, I only see that in Bravo, Russell, and Brandon. I have not seen anything from Anthony other than his man's movement and these fake ass meetings he have. I have not seen Latoya showcase anything about her career. Not much from Kimberly. We see Kobe in her content. We also see Christina in her content. Like, what is this? What is it giving? So Brandon gives his congratulations to Bravo, and then Bravo wants to talk about inviting Anthony to get his insights on it. And Brandon said, listen, you already know what Anthony's going to say. See, what Anthony likes to do is when you talk about what you got going on, Anthony wants to chime in and repeat what you said and talk about how he's had the same thing from back in the day. Yeah, I'm on that same time that you on because I got this, I got this, I got this. And they did a flashback of every time Anthony's in a conversation with other people, particularly other men, and he wants to be in a dick swinging contest to discuss about how he got a lot of business going on, he got a lot of money to make, he spends a lot of money on this, he does this, he does this, he does this, when nobody really asked him what he got going on, as far as doubting him if he doesn't have anything going on. But that's how Anthony comes across. Brandon says in his confessional, Anthony is the most braggadocious person I've ever met in my life. Because he's always likes to compete when he's around other men that I do believe he's insecure about, and I do believe that he's intimidated by, which is like, what do you think when you be around these people? What do you think when you're in these group of men? Do you think that you're not shining? You think you don't have enough attention? So he uses every opportunity to get that kind of attention, even when it's not about him, even if it's not for him. He still tries to take the attention on him. But I don't know what's that about. I really don't. So yeah, it is all very, very weird. But we're moving on. So Brandon wanted to know, how did Bravo feel about Marcel's apology at dinner? Because Brandon felt like Marcel gave him a passive aggressive apology, more on the lines of, you called me out in front of everybody, I didn't appreciate it, so I'm just gonna say I'm sorry. But the next time, don't call me out like that in front of other people. Come to me man to man, one on one. Bravo said, hey, it is what it is. I accepted his apology. I ain't got no beef with the man, and I don't want to hear about this dinner anymore. It's over. It's done. Bravo, you did get the apology when it happened. Maybe you wanted things to settle down to get a clear apology. Now that you got one, please don't drag this out. Do not. At the same time, we got Anthony and Marcel having the same conversation. Now, Anthony is putting a bit too much on it by saying that Bravo gave Marcel whack ass energy. How did he give him whack energy, Anthony? But Marcel is defending the fact that I was being clear on what I didn't do, but what I'm not going to do is call my wife out in front of everybody. And when it comes to her arguing with other women, that's what they got going on. I don't get into women's business. I don't get into women's issues. I'm there for my wife, but what I'm not going to do is air her out in front of everybody and embarrass her. That's what I'm not going to do. But at the same time, though, Marcel, you got to recognize that your wife did start that, though. So for you to want to eliminate your part because you don't get involved in mess like this, it doesn't matter. You should have calmly told your wife, hey, let's calm down. This is not the place and time for this. That's all you had to do. Anthony and Brandon are creating an issue between Marcel and Bravo when it's not necessary. They don't need to have beef, okay? And I think Brandon was recognizing that Marcel really wasn't prepared for you to be calling him out like that. And I think Bravo said, listen, if you don't like me checking you in front of other people, that's not my problem. That's yours. Because in the day, I accepted his apology. I don't feel no way towards him. My first impression of him was not great, but the second impression, I'm willing to move on and let it go and get to know him a different way. But back with Anthony and Marcel, Anthony tells Marcel that he thinks that Bravo is threatened by him. What does Marcel have that Bravo is threatened by? We're seeing Bravo's business. We're seeing him being successful. What does Marcel do? What are you talking about? And then he had to add Brandon in the mix. You didn't need to add Brandon in this. Why are you keep on adding Brandon in conversations that has nothing to do with him? Are you obsessed with him? Are you in love with him? I just want to know. Then he's trying to look at the changes in Bravo's behavior because he thinks that Bravo is hanging around Brandon too much. They've been friends for a very long time. So what do you mean they're hanging around too much? Why are you clocking how often they're hanging around each other? And how Bravo is now playing the victim role like Brandon likes to do. Okay, well, Brandon does like to play the victim role, but when did Bravo play the victim role? Like, here you go again, creating a situation that's not even necessary, creating an issue that's not even there. Because somebody has to make sense for me because Bravo has not shown he plays the victim. You have, though, Anthony. I feel like you play the victim more than anybody else on this show. Then he adds even more of confusing statements by saying that since they hang out so much, I think that they be dick sucking the shit out of each other. What does that mean? Even Marcel said, whoa, like where'd that come from? How do you come up with this? Anthony, this is the reason why people have saying in the comments, how about you come out the closet? You are such a fucking queen. And these were supposed to be your homeboys. Why are you discussing them in this way? That's disgusting. That's horrible. Do you like these men? Like, for real, do you really like these men? Do you find them to be really good friends to you? Because how do you talk so much shit about friends that you claim you like? How do you do that? So that needs to be cleared up because I don't understand what that means. Bravo is trying to navigate on how to tell Lakita about this new business project and how to put her mind at ease when he's out working late. That's been Lakita's issue because she's referring to losing her father very young. He was unalived. And he said, I don't know how to make her recognize that I'm working. I know that I'm at the club, and I know there's a lot of people who come in and out of the club, and I'm the last one to leave. But Brandon says, I mean, you got to know that she did lose her father. That was like her first love in a way. So, how to put her mind at ease is to maybe show your location, communicate with her. He said, I'm not doing that. But I feel like, did she even have to ask you? Don't you have an iPhone? She can just use my Find My and find you where you at. So, as much as he knows he leaves work late and he knows that it's dangerous in the streets of Detroit at night, but he doesn't think that sharing his location will make any sense. It won't make it any better. Well, what is it that you're doing once the club is closed? Yeah, I get it. You're locking up, making sure everything is safe, but what else do you do? And I get it. You probably have other events that occurs that goes on later, or you got to go to another location to promote, but it wouldn't be a problem had you just communicate with her and tell her, hey babe, the club is closing down soon, but I'm gonna hit up my homeboy spot in a minute. I'm gonna let you know when I'm on my way home. That wouldn't be a problem. Just letting her know where you are might cure her anxiety. But if you avoiding telling her where you at, it's given to me that you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. It's given to me you have different types of activities that you as a married man should not be doing. It's reading off that you're a cheater, Bravo. It really is. So, but he realized that seeing that Brandon was almost on the verge of losing his wife, he doesn't want the same thing to happen to him. Then communicate with Lakita. Tell her about the club might run a little bit late or the event might run a little bit late or I might be home sooner. You got to communicate with her. And moving on from there, we got Kimberly and Marcel. I really didn't care about this scene. They were going to a lingerie store so it could look like they spicing up their bedroom, whatever. And Marcel has a Catwoman fetish. But then Kimberly is talking to Marcel about how does he feel about going on the staycation that Christina invited them. He said, I'm all about what you feel. I am agreeing to what you want to do. But Kimberly is still holding on to whether or not she wants to move forward with Christina because I see that she's trying, but I have trust issues and I want to be cautious. But what was the point of you accepting the olive branch or accepting the conversation that y'all are going to move forward? Y'all not going to bring up what happened way back when. Y'all going to try to do something different. Make it make sense. And then in her confessional, she is saying that she's done with the drama, but doesn't think that Christina is. If Christina invited you on a staycation, meaning that she's not holding on to what took place, she's letting go. Do you want to move forward with Christina or not, Kimberly? And why are you holding on to what could be? Why are you holding on to what might be? It's almost like you are prepared for a problem with Christina that hasn't happened yet. It looks like you're on defense mode to appear as if whenever she fucks up, like she's gonna fuck up, she's gonna do something wrong, and you want to be like, I told you so. I told you this is how Christina is. I told you she's not the type of person you think she is. But it's like, for what? For what? Why do all of this just to be proven that Christina is not a good person when I haven't seen it yet? I haven't seen anything that y'all say Christina is. As far as like her being a bit flaky, her being a bit manipulative, but as far as you think she is just ain't shit ass person, she's a horrible friend and backstabber, I'm not seeing it. But whatever, Kimberly, do what you want to do. Okay. It is time for Anthony's podcast that Christina was invited to speak. So Brandon and Chelsea are there with her. The setup is in like some industrial warehouse. And they said it's very cold in here. I bet it is. Industrial warehouse is full of metals and shit. I bet it's cold in there. But so Brandon decided to sit on the same couch with Christina, even though he wasn't supposed to sit there. He should have sat on one of the bar stools that Chelsea sat on. Just kept an eye out. You didn't have to be there for real, for real. But Brandon just wanted to be protective of what Anthony might say. And When he noticed that Chelsea came, Anthony had to say in his confessional, I told you we weren't bringing ops around us anymore. So the fact that you brought her here was very disrespectful. But my thing is, how is Chelsea an op to you? What has she done to you to make you think that she is out to get you? That's the confusing part. And she didn't even say anything to you. She sat in her chair, was quiet. So he starts the interview off by asking Christina, how did she get involved into music? How did she get involved into singing? She grew up singing. Her parents made gospel albums that were very successful. Her whole family sings. And he's going off about she is a gorgeous woman. She is a gorgeous woman of her older years. She's in her 40s. And she said, hold up, I'm 42. I'm very proud of my age. And she looks good for 42. And being a mom of two at 42, you're trying to now start off your career, but you also got another child, which is your husband. He's giving man child. And that right there was unnecessary. Like, why did you have to bring up that Brandon is like another child of hers? We know Brandon acts like a child, but you didn't have to say that. And why are you throwing shots at him? He's not the one being interviewed. You're supposed to be interviewing Christina. Why keep adding Brandon in the mix? I know that there are all types of podcasts that has controversial conversations that can ignite tension and issues, but Anthony is literally trying to force a tense situation, a tense environment to, I guess, keep us glued, keep us entertained, but I'm not entertained. I'm annoyed because this is weird. And then he asks Christina what genre of music does she wants to go into. She hasn't considered which genre she wants to go into. Lean towards gospel since that's how you started. And I think you have a great influence in that realm. But again, she said, I'm not sure. I haven't decided. So then Chelsea chimed in and said, and you're not going to. Now, some could say that Chelsea shouldn't have chimed in because it wasn't her interview. It was Christina's interview because she's supposed to answer. But then I'm wondering, what else could have happened in this interview? This might have been a long interview that took way longer to film. Maybe there were some other types of questions and statements that were a bit invasive, that were a bit rude, a bit condescending. And maybe Chelsea had to pipe up because Anthony was probably doing too much. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just trying to look at both sides of things. Could Chelsea not have said nothing? Yeah. But could have Anthony had said something before then that made Chelsea pipe up? Who knows, right? But this is pretty much a trying to be in that professional setting of when to not answer certain questions and to not reveal certain things. But Christina's starting out. So she's not in the realm of already being an established artist where she got to keep her music a secret or keep anything in the works a secret. She could have said whatever she wanted to say. It wouldn't have mattered. But Anthony wanted to be included onto that statement that Chelsea made by saying, this is a professional environment and she's being unprofessional. I can't have this. I got a business to run. I can afford to lose this by dealing with these types of people. I'm like, what did she say that made you think that this is something that could be a problem for you? Or something that's hurting you, or something that's hindering you from handling your business? Like, you're making a big problem out of nothing, in my opinion. You didn't have to add anything in your confessional with what Chelsea said. Was it really that much of a bother that she even said anything to you? Fine. So the interview is over. Christina gave her props to Anthony. Brandon was very happy that he stayed, as well as Chelsea, to make sure nothing went wrong. And Brandon told Anthony, for future purposes, if you want to reach out to have another interview with her, you got to talk to Chelsea because she pretty much handles her day to day. And Anthony ignores it. He can't be professional by saying, well, at least I got my interview, meaning he's not going to want to interview Christina again. And he doesn't want to talk to Chelsea. He doesn't want to reach out to her. But if you are going to be inviting other people on your podcast, you got to go through their manager. You got to go through the people that sets things up for them. Even if you don't like that person, it's about business. If you're going to be petty and in your feelings every time you got to talk to somebody you're not cool with, then you shouldn't be in business. So they have a little small talk, and Anthony throws shots at Brandon by saying that Christina is the biggest artist he's ever worked with. Christina hasn't put no music out. So what do you mean she's the biggest artist that he's ever worked with? Making it seem as if his business hasn't created any type of successful artist. Nobody that have ever came from Star Factory has ever made it out and became a success. Why are you throwing shots, Anthony? For what reason? And Brandon said, listen, I can see you trying to be my wife's fan, but maybe you need to give that towards your own wife. He said, what you mean? I'm all about my wife. I mean, I just dropped 250K on her. Sure. Dropping over 200 grand is a flex. That's all you do is drop how much money you spend. It's not showing that you love your wife. It's not showing that you really want to support your wife. You just like to point out that you pay for something. You did it the season before where you wanted to throw it in her face about how much money you put in for her wine, and she just let you have it, believing that, oh yeah, it was all just your money that put into my wine, as if I didn't put a majority of the money. Hell, that was probably her money that you put in, but you want to say it was yours. Did you really have 250,000, Anthony? Like, it's not attractive. And the way that you are constantly in competition with your wife is, ugh, makes no sense right there and right now. Because Brandon kept on going on about his wife's business, about how you need to invest in more sturdy corks, because I heard them corks are not working. And Anthony couldn't even say anything because you should be defending your wife's business all throughout. But you allow for Brandon to talk about your wife's business like that, and you couldn't even say nothing. All you wanted to say was you dropped 250K on her. Oof, Latoya, this man don't defend you in no type of capacity. He defends you no way. So while they were going back and forth, Chelsea is yawning because she's in the back looking bored and cold. And Anthony being a bitch by saying, I mean, she can warm up in the car. And it's like, for what? Why are you trying to get rid of her? She's not even doing anything to you. So he didn't like hearing Chelsea. And Christina said, well, they're on my team. They're going to go wherever I go. And then Anthony wants to flip it and say, well, it's about respect because I didn't bring a certain person that you're not cool with. That's why Lyrique isn't here. And Lyrique is a producer from the first season that Brandon has had history with because Lyrique was known to have been stealing Brandon's clients and poaching his artists and things like that. And Anthony had an event that he wanted Lyrique to be a part of, but he knew the history between Brandon and Lyrique and he didn't care. But to me, though, Anthony, this is not matching for you to say I didn't bring Lyrique here out of respect for you. It's like, but why would he need to be here? Why would it matter if he was here? He's a producer. You're hosting a podcast. Is he a producer of your podcast as far as creating music for it? And why would you think I would have an issue with him being here? It's different from that versus you having an issue with Chelsea being here. But again, it wasn't necessary. And Chelsea asked him what was done to him that was so disrespectful. He didn't want to answer her. He ignored her like a bitch and said, Brandon, I told you about what happened the last time. And it's like, so you're not even going to address me? That's interesting. If you want to bring me up and having a problem with me, then that means that you want my reaction. You want me to say something to you. So now here I am asking you, what have I done? And you can't even answer. And it's not necessary. You're being rude. You're being disrespectful. And he does this to women. Anthony never has this energy towards another man. It's always towards women. And then Anthony wants to make it seem as if this is what Chelsea want to do. Chelsea wants to have a problem with him, but it's like, no, you're creating an issue that you want her to respond to so you can look like I ain't said to her. She's always trying to get a reaction out of me. It's her. Like, she's a bird. She wants my attention. It's just like, what? So then he wants to get his goons to escort her out. She said, oh no, we're not doing that. And then Christina asked him, are you kicking us out? Because if she's going, I'm going. All right, cool. That's good. So now Anthony, the bitch queen that he is, decides to reach in his pocket and act like he's calling 911 to escort her out of his building. Man, you probably only had it rented just for the podcast. You probably don't own this building. And it's like, this is unnecessary. I mean, Christina just gave you props on how you handled yourself in this podcast, but you do need to learn how to handle women because this is not the first time you've been disrespectful towards women, especially to Chelsea and Christina. For someone who wants to be the leader of the community, you don't know how to handle women. And you go off and disrespect a woman who really didn't do nothing to you, but call you out for the first season, call your wife out for this season, and y'all can't handle it. But anyway, that was pretty much the end of the episode. I can't stand Anthony. Anthony does the most. He annoys me, he irritates me. And in the next episode, Anthony and Latoya are gonna really drive it home to paint Chelsea out to be a ghetto ass bird. And then Latoya wanna say, "Do you not know what she be doing in the streets?" Do what, Latoya? And if you want to call somebody ghetto, hello, look at your name, Latoya. Because it's like with Anthony Latoya, they want to present that they're upper echelon. They want to present like they're better than everybody. But y'all on a reality show. Y'all on the same level as everybody else. But then they want to act like they got enemies. They want to act like people are coming after them. People are trying to take everything they worked hard for. Who? Who is doing this to y'all? And the way y'all carrying on this issue with Chelsea when it's not even that deep, nor is it that serious, it's like y'all forcing an issue and y'all using Chelsea as a scapegoat to present as your storyline. Because what is it this season? Other than Latoya complaining about her kids not giving her no attention or they are not showing appreciation to her, like, I don't have time for this. And to say that you want to imply that Chelsea is a ghetto ass bird, what are you? And again, Latoya, this is another time where you want to bring up what someone has said about somebody in the streets, but you won't reveal your sources. You won't reveal how you heard about this. You did it before and didn't even give any answers. You want to play on that street cred, that street mentality, but you're not even about that. I ain't got time for this. I really don't. But y'all, that's it. That's all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video, and I'm see you guys later. Bye.